body. A lot of good pressure points for self-defense are in the face, in his face for self-defense. Also in the soft tissue of the body, in the arms, sometimes they're holding you. The problem with using pressure points for self-defense is that if you don't have strong hands, I have very strong hands and I've conditioned my hands for a long time over the years, don't have strong hands, it's hard to hit some of these pressure points. But with this simple pressure point self-defense tool, the Selfy-Stick, you can use this hard piece of aluminum. It's kind of heavy. It has this burled finish, which allows it to not come out of your hand. You can strike with it as a fist load. It's very effective that way. But you can also use the ends here to apply the pressure on the pressure points and become more effective, allowing you to defend yourself against somebody. Let's talk about some of those pressure points. Let's say he's holding on to you. Maybe he's choking you or put his hand on you and he won't let go. And you told him, get out of my face, I'll defend myself. And you have this in your hand. You tried striking, that wasn't as effective. You can take this and apply it right here where that cheek is and just press straight forward. Now there's a pressure point right there in the face. Of course, you could also just stick it in his eye and he's going to let go of you. The eye is not a pressure point, although you could consider it one, because if you stick it in his eye and he lets go and it works and he gets out of your face for self-defense, it works for you, right? You become effective. But think of this right here. Here's one. The one is right here in the neck. There's one right here behind the jaw, the mandibular joint. You can press in that. You can reach in and simply pull it back. He's holding on to you. You reach forward, put your thumb right here, put it right there behind his jaw and pull as hard as you can this way and apply that pressure into that pressure point back here. So you can go here in the face, you can come in here, you can stick it into his temple and apply pressure there. You can stick it here into the fleshy part of the neck, right under the jawline, right as it comes down, pressing in and down, and you're going to apply pressure and he's going to let you go. So the simple pressure points that work when you have a pressure point self-defense stick like this Selfy-Stick. Now I put a link in the description if you want to see what these cost. They're not very expensive. They're extremely well made and it's not going to break. It's not going to twist. It's not going to bend when you're applying these pressure points. Like I said, you can hit them as a fist load, but you can also just apply it. Where else can you apply pressure using your simple pressure point self-defense tool? Right here on the top of the chest. So you have the clavicle. That's a good one, by the way. You can take this part, pushing down, jab it in, and then push. The key to the pressure point is applying pressure. So you push it in and then down using your whole body weight. Think about like pulling yourself up like you're going to do a pull-up, but instead you stick this in his neck. Maybe you've got two, but we're going to pretend you just have one, either the shorter one or the longer Selfy-Stick. You're going to apply it right here on the top of that nerve right there above the on the chest, pushing straight in and pull down like you're going to do a pull-up on his body and make him let go, or stick it between that first vertebra that comes out there and the clavicle, which comes this way. Stick it right into that soft tissue like Mr. Spock on the Star Trek. Stick it in there, coming straight down. So we have the face, we have the mandibular joint, we have into the neck. Of course, we got the eyeball. You can also stick it on the side of his nose. I don't know if you've ever had your nose broken, but you stick it in the side of his nose and then straight forward, push him back, make him let go. Speaking of making him let go, you have right here on the shoulder point. This is a part we used to strike to keep their hands from holding them up. Hey, random user, everybody else who's here, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. I see your comments. I don't always get a chance to respond, but there's a pressure point right there, or a nerve ending, whatever you want to call it. But you take that and you stick it in, you're going to deaden that arm so he can't use it as well. But it also hurts, forcing him to let go. He's on top of you and you're trying to make him get off of you, push it right there. Anytime you have a muscle, the belly of the muscle, think about this bicep, sticking it in to the bicep. He's holding on to you. You go forward, you stick it in there. You're going to force him to contract and pull that hand back, and he's going to have to let go. There's pain in that pressure point. Also here on the top of the arm, take this, he's holding on to you, holding on to somebody else. And you can use this side here and just push straight down. That's very painful. Or you can use the other side. Either way works. You can also, there's another belly of a muscle. You can also come up this way. This is going to force his hand to close or open. Let's say he's holding on to, you push in, and that nerve reaction is going to force him to let go. This one is a lot more tender in my experience. You're going to be able to push in and create enough force there to let him go. Now, the ribs right here, there are muscles called the intercostals that are between these ribs. If you stick it into his ribs, and let's say he's bigger than you, he's on top of you, and you can't reach up and you can't get him in the face, you can't get him in the eye, you can't get him behind the mandibular joint, can't get him in the neck, you can't get him on the top of the chest or between that first vertebra and his collarbone. Instead, stick it right into the ribs and just push, push, push until he lets go. Pressure point. The key there is the pressure. A lot of people miss that part when they think about pressure. Now, the way we started this video, we're talking about a simple pressure point self-defense tool. What I said was most people's hands aren't strong enough to apply the pressure. If you have strong thumbs, and you've conditioned them like I have over the years, or you can create a knuckle fist. We call that a knuckle fist, and use that knuckle fist in his face. That's effective, but this is 10 times more effective. It's a force multiplier. It takes what you have, and for a little bit of money, you can throw this in your pocket, throw it in a bag, take this anywhere and everywhere you go, and then you apply it into those pressure points. Think about soft tissue, think about nerves, think about all the places that you've ever been hurt or hit, and it makes it go numb, right? If you've ever been punched right there, that makes that go numb. Or if you had a brother growing up and he came in and he jabbed you in his leg with his knee, gave you a Charlie horse or whatever, those are your pressure points. That's what you're going to aim for. Let's say you're sitting or he's on top of you. You can jab it into the side of his thigh or the front of the thigh or into his groin, which we really mean when we say groin, we mean his private parts, jabbing straight in. Now that's a pressure point because when you hit that, it hurts and he's going to back off. He has to let you go. The whole point, the reason people search for pressure point self-defense, the reason people are always attracted to that, and I don't only, I say, that's just one tool, one thing that you need to use or that you can learn how to use, pressure points for self-defense. It's not like a dim mak thing. I don't know if you know what that is. It's not one of these magical, fairy, gung fu-y, whatever. It's not some, 1 point knockout, pressure point knockout kind of. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about tender spots using a tool like this, which is a hard piece of aluminum with a point on the end. It's not a sharp point, but it will concentrate the force of your body, which is why I call it a force multiplier. And then you can stick it in his face. Think about your gums, how tender and how sensitive the gums are. If you've ever had any kind of tooth pain, when you get old enough, like us, right, we start to know about gum pain and tooth pain. Think about that spot for a pressure point and pushing him off and getting him off of you. So there are many pressure points in the body. If you get one of these Selfy-Sticks, you can play around with it. The funny thing is a lot of the pressure points are also trigger points when they do trigger point massage and they reach in there. They just don't do it as hard, right? You're not trying to hurt somebody and make them let go of you for self-defense when you're doing trigger point massage. But if you've ever had a trigger point massage, and it's easy to Google it and look up what are the pressure points in the body, you get yourself a Selfy-Stick, either the 8-inch or the 6-inch or the 8-inch. You get them in green or black. It's a great Christmas present for yourself or for somebody else whose safety you're considered or concerned about. And then you give them a force multiplier, something that they can use and carry with them to apply pressure on those pressure points for self-defense. So it's a simple pressure point self-defense tool. Wanted you to see this one. The next video we're going to talk about self-defense again. I think 2 weeks ago, maybe last week, we talked about what would you do if someone spit in your wife, your girlfriend, your mom, your child's face. We said that's assault. We know that's assault. How would we do it? Yeah, Mark says this is not a mystical thing. It's very practical. It is. It's simple, practical. If you've ever been punched in the face, you know all about pressure points, right? It hurts for a reason. The eyes water, your nose bleeds, all that stuff happens. The next question, in the next video, the last question was, what would you do if someone spits in your face? I watched this video, and it's a young couple. They're on vacation, I think in Colombia, and a street thug comes to rob the girl of her phone, and he's got a knife in his hand, and the man hides behind the door and lets her fight for herself. Now, they may not have been married, they may not have been a romantic couple, they may not have even liked each other, but they seem to be together, traveling together. And so the question is going to be, what's going on with this generation? It's not all young men. I'm not complaining about young men, but what's going on with this generation where we have young men who don't know that it's their duty and their job to defend the weaker person who's with them? And I don't know if this is that biblical masculinity. Is it a masculine trait? Is it, have we beaten them up so much with this idea of toxic masculinity or whatever? Anyway, next time we get together, I want to have that discussion, and I want to pose the question to you. What would we do? How do we get to a point where if young man is with a young lady and someone attacks the young lady, that he actually defends her, not her honor, not her dignity, not her pride, but her physical being? How do we get back to a society where we're standing up for each other and we're not just videotaping or hiding behind the door so that we don't get involved? What do you give up when you give up the ability to stand up for yourself, speak up for yourself? And then maybe it's a matter of training. What kind of training can we get to ourselves and to others so that we can start to stand up again and fight back against the darkness, the badness, all the other stuff? Anyway, if you want one of these, please check the description. I am promoting these right now. The Selfy-Stick, it's a new product. I really, really like it. And I know if you are serious at all, I keep putting it upside down. If you're serious at all about self-defense, this is something that you would really benefit from and enjoy. So, and they're not expensive. It's a high value item, high return on investment, small cost, great value, great use. Anyway, let me know in the comment section about pressure points. What do you think about pressure points? Do you like them? Do you think they're hokey? Have you ever had anybody hit you in your pressure point? What's the worst that you've ever felt? I know we've all probably hit that funny bone, and we know it works. So, but let me know what you think as far